So we're going to go over programs today. So how to create or revise programs in Kim. We have never actually officially done a training on programs. When we first moved to CourseLeaf, we really focused on the course form and getting all the data in there set up. So this is the first official one. Okay. So today we're going to go over background and purpose of the training. We're going to talk about very briefly the different types of programs that we have. I'll do a demonstration of how to edit or create a program in CourseLeaf Kim. I'll show you where you can find some resources and we'll answer some questions. I'm going to go very quickly because there's a lot of very technical things to get into. So if you're not that familiar with Kim, email me, there's videos, and we can set up a time where you can get more situated in that. So I apologize if you're a little lost for a second. But yes, so programs are very technical. It directly impacts the catalog. So that's another reason why we waited to kind of release it to faculty, because I would end up having to go fix a bunch of stuff so that the catalog would be right. So right now, our process has been that faculty members create or write a narrative in a Word document, and they work with Shannon Davis usually on that. And then the curriculum team would put that data into Kim. Now, the new process is going to be that faculty uses the Kim form, and then it will spit out the narrative that I have to submit to the state. So it's going to be very efficient in theory. No, it will be. So very briefly, the different types of programs that you'll hear are, the first is an ADT. So that is an associate degree for transfer. These will continue to be completed by Shannon Davis, RAO, articulation officer. It's very typical that they handle it. It's there's a template, and the state is very picky and particular about it.
In association with faculty.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. She'll handle the technical side of it for you guys, but yes, if an ADT needs to be revised, and I hope you guys probably already know this, she reaches out, she tells you, and then you guys kind of talk about what needs to be done. An AA or an AS, Associate in Arts, Associate in Science, these are local degrees. They have major requirements and local GE. And then we have a COA, most commonly in CTE, but these programs include program requirements only, no general education. And then proficiency awards are low in units, no GE. They're awarded by the department. We do not send them to the state. And then we have certificates of completion and certificate of competency, which are non-credit programs. So that's a very brief overview of the different types of programs. There is a link to a PowerPoint that Shannon Newby gave at our last curriculum meeting that goes through all the different specifics between all of these different programs. So I'll share this recording and this PowerPoint at the end so you can access that if you need more information. Okay, demonstration. Let me just make sure I covered everything. I think I did. CourseLeaf Kim programs, you can access it through the portal. I'm not going to show you how to do that. If you don't know it already, email me. We'll figure it out. Very brief filtering options. So again, CourseLeaf is throughout the whole district. So you'll see Moore Park College and Ventura College in here as well. A very easy way I find to filter just to look at our programs is to use the drop-down menu on the right, and then you have to click program name to filter it alphabetically. If you don't do that, it filters by this program number, which is a very arbitrary number that when we created the system, it was like the number of the order of the programs in the catalog. So if we add new programs, as you can see here, it's like 214, 203, 92. It doesn't make any sense. So click program name and it'll filter it alphabetically. So it's just a very quick and easy way to see our programs. Now, as we go through this, like I said, it's very technical, so I'm going to try and focus on that part and the details of what to put in each field. I'm not going to get into maybe quite as much, But what I recommend is looking at other good examples. So a few of those are, shout out to Alex Lynch if he's on here, Computer Networking Information Technology Associate in Science is a very good narrative, as well as Pre-Health Professions, which is Shannon Newby did for us last year. The COA was last year. But
The COA was last year.
So I will share those narrative documents in the resources at the end. And so I just recommend that you refer to it, because sometimes it's like, hey, tell us about the goals of the program, but it's kind of hard to think about. So if you see another example and see how they wrote it, it can be a little bit easier to get started. So we're going to propose a new program, and it's going to open this separate window. I made a generic person. So Corey the Condor is a faculty member here.
Nice.
So very quickly, you'll select Oxford College. I'll do CTE. I'm going to pick on Jerome, who should be here. He's making accounting programs. And we're just going to call it Flex Training, yada, yada. The banner code is, we have TBD, to be determined automatically in this field. Laura and Blanca, our academic data specialists, can't create that code until the program has a control number at the state. So the program has to be approved by the state before we can fill out that code. So it's to be determined for a new program. Program type, credit, non-credit, clock hours. Clock hours is very rare. If you think that applies to you, just email us. So I'm going to select credit for this example, and then like the very brief description I gave of our programs, you can select here. So program, award, or degree. I'm just going to do a certificate of completion. There are 4 different types of certificates of completion based on the units, the number of units in the program. So keep that in mind as you're creating it. If you already know that you're going to have at least 16 units, select that one. I'm just going to do a small one for this example. And then program goal, CTE, transfer, or local. You should know what that is, or know which one applies, I should say. But contact us if you have any questions. Okay, so I'll select CTE for this example, and then justification of need or modification. If you're revising the program, you would say, you know, adding new course to program, and then justification of need. Accounting industry is growing and need program for students, basically. Very brief. It's for our curriculum committee to kind of know why we're seeing it at the meeting. Term fall 2024, it'll always be the following fall. As long as you don't miss a spring deadline, it'll be the following fall. And again, contact us if you have any questions. So much about curriculum is very dependent on what you're working on. And so it's hard for us to be like, oh yeah, your deadline is this. It's your deadline is this, if this, this, and this. So please just be in communication with us. Let us know what you're working on or what you want to be working on, and we can help guide you and make sure that that's something we should work on now, or hey, there's this thing going on at the state called Common Course Numbering, maybe wait. Those are just some conversations we'll have with you. So program details is the next big section in the form. So guided pathways area of interest. So in our catalog, this is actually a question that they ask me, and if I don't set it up right, then the list of areas of interest for guided pathways isn't right. And we didn't have a way for, I was guessing at some point, and I like to think I guess pretty well, but I probably shouldn't be guessing. As you can see, MC, OC, VC, so obviously click an OC, one that applies. So I'll do business and hospitality since we're doing accounting. Cooperative joint program, very rare. Contact us if you're interested in that. Apprenticeship, also very rare. Contact us. So I'm going to select no. Distance education. This is the percentage of the courses. If all your courses are going to be DE, then do 100%. If half of the courses are going to be offered DE or could be offered DE, that's what we're talking about. So it's not like, yeah, the total number of courses and whether or not they're offered DE or not is how you can determine that.
Is it, Paris, is it that they have the DE addendum, or is it that they must be offered as DE?
I would say if they are typically offered DE, because in reality, we added DE to all of our courses. And so, but that's not necessarily how they're scheduled.
Right.
So, I would say how the discipline or the department typically schedules the courses, DE or not. And you could say, well, we do both. Count that as DE because a student could. Okay, program narrative. So this was kind of what I was talking about earlier. I have to submit a document to the state, and that is what they review. And this is what's going to help us create that. So we have some help bubbles that can always help you. And then the question or, the statement above is to help guide you through completing this. And again, the good examples that we will share, use that as well. And then you have program student learning outcomes. That'll be very similar to the course student learning outcomes. You add it. If you want to add another one, you press the little plus sign. If you don't like what you did, you press the X. Catalog description, like I said, goes directly to the catalog. There is a full formatting bar here. I'm just going to say, don't get crazy. We like our catalog to look consistent. We don't typically put bullets or numbering in the catalog description. A paragraph or two, maybe 3 if you're getting crazy. Basically to explain to the student why they might be interested in the program, what they could do with that certificate or degree. It's kind of your chance to kind of win students over if, think about a student that might be on the fence of taking your program and what you'd want to convince them to do. Okay, program requirements. Buckle in. This is where it gets technical. So this, and actually I want to show you kind of the end result. So in our catalog, we have, so requirements right here at the top of the catalog. This is what we're going to create in KIM. And this is what Kat pulls out of KIM. So we're going to create that table. You'll press the table feature, but this isn't just a normal table. It's a fancy table. It's going to automatically default to course list, which is what you want to do. So you'll click OK, and then it brings us this like sub screen. And what you're going to do, you're going to work left to right. So you're going to select the subject of the course you want to add to your program. So in this example, we're doing accounting. I'll click accounting. I'm skipping all of the more part courses because we are doing Oxnard. R is for Oxnard because an O looks too much like a 0. So R for Oxnard, and I'm going to work left to right. When it's highlighted in blue, that means that is the course you have selected. And I'm going to click the right arrow, and it's going to move it over. So this square right here is showing me what courses I have in my program. And then these fields down below show me the details of the course I've selected in blue above. So for instance, it automatically puts 3 units for accounting R101, and I say that's great. Now we have an honors course in accounting. Now you'd think you would just put that over, but no, because what that would tell students is you have to take 101 and 101H, which isn't the case. So if you move it over, you can put it back on the left-hand side and it goes down to the bottom. So what I want to do instead is there is a field for or course. So if, and this doesn't have to be honors, but if you have this or that, you put whatever course you want to be listed secondary in this field below. So I'll do ACCTR 101H. And I probably sound like a broken record, but because KIM is automatic, it's smart, but you have to tell it exactly what it needs in order to be smart. So if I didn't put a space, if I put too many spaces, if I forgot the R, it won't work. So just make sure that it's exactly how it's supposed to be. And then I'll click OK. And there we go. We have our first courses in our program. accounting R101 and 101H. Now that's a very small program. It's actually not really allowed to be a program. So we're going to add something to it. And to do that, you'll double click and it brings you back to where you were. So we'll add a couple more courses in here. We'll do 102 and those wouldn't be in the same program, but just for the sake of this example, we'll put those there because those are non-credit courses. So let's say, for example, there's a lab, probably not in accounting, but bear with me. So we want it to say this and that. So if it's a co-rec, that would work too. If there is a support course for accounting R102, you want it to say 102 and whatever. So that would be considered a sequence. So Shannon Newby is right in front of me. So I'm going to do biology 101 lab, right? Okay. And add that. There you go. You can take accounting and biology and probably fail the lab, but that's okay. Now you'll notice the 3 is marked in red. And if you hover over it, it'll tell you accounting R102 and biology 101 lab should be 4 units. So the form down here defaults to whatever the course you added. But if you add anything to the fields below, you have to add up the units. So that's a 1 unit lab. 3 and 1 is 4. There we go. No red marks, so that's good. Other questions? Am I losing people?
No, they just are having trouble seeing the screen because it's just a little small.
Okay.
So if you can increase, there you go, perfect.
That better?
Yep, much.
Okay.
Are prerequisites also marked in the sequence? No, because they're part of the course.
Yes. So prerequisites are more of an enrollment thing. So basically you would just have the prereq listed above. So if both of the courses are required to complete the program, you would have that listed in the program above the other one. Does that make sense? So say English 101 is a prereq for accounting R101. It's not, but let's just pretend. I would do, you can also type in your course codes. So like, I don't want to leave this discipline, but I know that I need to add English 101. You can do that. For prereqs, you would just have that be listed first, and then students know they can't take the accounting 101 class until they've completed it. Okay. Now, this doesn't have any headers. So, and you can use our catalog as a guide. So here we have required courses, and then we have total hours because it's a non-credit program, but it would be total units for a credit program. And the way we do that is we add a comment. So you click add comment entry, and I'll say required courses. Sometimes it's required core courses. I would find a similar program in the catalog and mirror that. It's the easiest thing to do. And then it's an area header. So there's a little checkbox for that. It makes it bold. We also don't want it in the middle, so I'm going to move it up. But if I wanted it at the bottom, I can move it down. So there's that. And then we want a total. Now, there are total stuff up here. The sum hours doesn't always work, especially when we have ors in here. So it's best to just do it on your own. And then the hours label, so it defaults to hours, I think, because alphabetically, but that bugs me because it's going to be units more often than anything. So change it to units if you're doing a credit program, and hours if you're doing a non-credit program. So I will select units here, and then that shows right there. It says units and hours. So that is our thing, but I forgot to put the total. So I'm going to open it back up. I'm going to add another comment of total units. Sometimes we do total units required in the certificate. Again, just use whatever example you find. And then I'm going to put that total here. I can't remember what it is. I'm going to say 7.
I think it's 11.
11. Oh, because I added English, yeah. There we go. So that's your program. Yay. Let me know if that gets confusing, or if you, with some programs, it's like choose one of the following, and there's a bunch of courses. We would add a comment, and that statement, choose one of the following, would be listed there. So there's a lot of different ways we can maneuver that list. Okay, so the next field is plan of study. And it'll be very similar, but a little different than what we just did. So instead of course list, you'll do plan of study grid. You'll select OK. Again, it looks very similar, but what you're going to do is select the year and the term. So year 1, fall 1. So that's the first semester the student is taking at the college. They should take Accounting 101. Year 1, spring semester. So they're still their first year at the college, but it's the spring semester. We'll say they need to take Accounting 102. And then year 2, you'll change it back to fall semester. They need to take, these non-credit is a bad example, but you get it. And then again, year 2, spring semester, and then add a course there. And these, we'll just click OK and see what it spits out. The units and hour totals on this are a little wonky, but there really isn't a way to fix them right now. So depending on what you do, if you're like, that doesn't seem right, let us know and we'll figure something out. Okay, any questions on that? Feel free to unmute, because I can't really see the screen.
Yep.
Okay.
It's clear so far.
So for new programs, typically, if and what we did with the form was we made sure that only the fields that you have to fill out are showing. So because there are different requirements for the different types of programs, an ADT doesn't have to do master planning, but a local certificate or a CTE program do. So if you're working on an ADT, you're working with Shannon Davis, but you also won't see this field. So we tried to think of all the different scenarios and made sure that all the fields are showing. And then also, the state used to require when you revise a program that you update these other portions of the narrative that I'm going to go over. They have since not required that, which is good. So now when you go to revise a program, you won't see those fields that you had filled out before. They are kind of in the back end and we can always get that data, but we thought it would be confusing to list it even though you don't need to update it. And we thought it would be confusing to show it, but not let you edit it because then it's going to be really out of date and other things. Are there other questions?
No, Mark said he thought Ashita had a question, but I think we addressed it already.
Okay.
The prerequisites.
So it's how often do you
I have a question. Can I?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Hi,
Ashita.
Ashita.
Hi, how are you? My question was, how often do we have to update our narratives? I mean, when should we? I updated my narratives when I was asked to, but I don't know when the next cycle.
It depends on the program, first of all.
Okay.
But
So everything that is not CTE updates 5 years.
Okay.
Anything that is CTE updates every 2 years.
Okay.
Right now, unless you're CTE, we don't really have to update anything because when we switched over to Kim, everything got updated. And so we're still good until
25, 26.
yeah, 2025, 26
Okay.
catalog. And we are, as the curriculum team, looking to send everybody sort of projected dates for when to update your courses, and then by extension, your programs. But until we get information about AB 1111 in December, we're still waiting off on that. So they're having a work group on that today, and they were just talking about some of the courses they think might be in the first draft and it's different than what they thought earlier. So there's still just a lot that we're waiting on. So I know it's really anxiety inducing for us to feel like we have these things that we want to update and fix, and we're just asking folks to wait. If you don't have to, don't push start. You can make edits, but just don't start the workflow until we know exactly where you're going to fall in the course numbering and the new GE thing and everything else.
Yes. We will let you know if you need to do something.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So for right now, you can think about it and you can start making edits. Just don't start the workflow because you may have to go back and redo everything, which is just a lot of work that you don't have to do.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
Okay, yes. So this is typically for local programs or CTE programs. And again, I don't want to go through each of these fields because it's going to be really dependent on the program you're working on. And this is where the examples will be really helpful to you. But the statements are there. We've got, okay, that one doesn't have a help bubble. We are working on the help bubbles. That is a project on my list. So we will be updating those so that you can use them more confidently, I'll say. Yes, and then there is one thing to note. Enrollment and completer projections in the Word documents, typically that's a chart and you say this year we had this many students and this year we had this many students for this course, or whatever. Because of the fancy table feature, that's not really an option for us yet. I have talked to CourseLeaf about creating a predefined table for us eventually, but it's not there yet. So in the meantime, we did add the, like, all I can think is fancy formatting, full formatting. So you can do bullets of like this year in a colon or something in the meantime. You can also attach documents. So everywhere it says attached document, if you have a file and it looks nice in there, you can put that in here too. Place of curriculum, that's just where you're going to explain the other programs you have in the area or the discipline, or maybe you don't and you'll explain we don't and we need it. Similar programs in the service area. I think I want to add to the form, explain what our service area is, because it's San Luis Obispo.
It's
Cuesta.
It's Cuesta in San Luis Obispo, down to College of the Canyons in Valencia, and east to Antelope Valley in Lancaster.
So when you're talking about similar programs in your service area, that's the service area that we're talking about. And I'll talk to the other colleges about adding that explanation in there. I don't see why we wouldn't.
Here's a comment. In philosophy, social science, learn more about finding out deadlines with time to complete tasks. Okay, so there's some concern about finding out deadlines. Sometimes there's a short turnaround because we haven't found out stuff from the state.
Yes.
So that happened just recently with all of the cooperative work experiences, which are now work education experiences. Or work experience education, because we got the announcement from the state in September, or end of August, start of September. And in order for those changes to be made, they had to be done basically by this week. And so we just didn't know about them in order to give you all a big lead up. With some of these other changes, we are going to have more time to let you all know when, and to give everybody time to make corrections, but sometimes we are just constrained by when we as curriculum committee find out.
Yes.
And then everybody has to sort of rush to get it done over a weekend. So I wish it was a better system as well, but if the state doesn't tell us and then they're like, hey, this has to get done and you need to implement it by January, well, for us to do that, then our courses have to be through by first read by October. And so I feel your pain, Chris. It's just unfortunately sometimes there's nothing we can do about it, and when we can, we'll definitely give you more time to make adjustments and changes.
The program due dates are later. They, if it's a revision, it can go mid-spring. If it's new, early spring. You have to create all the new courses, and then so you have to get those approved before you start working on the program. So you do have a little bit more time on programs. I know it's been a busy week with the final deadline of new courses. Yeah, programs you have a little bit more time on. I'll just say that.
Yeah, programs we usually try to address in the spring because by that time, hopefully the courses have gone through and any revisions, because right, you can't build a program without the courses, and if your courses have changed, then you will need those to go through before you change the programs.
Okay. Yep. All right, this next section is only for CTE programs, labor market data. You're gonna attach the files that you get from the CEO.
Basically, whatever
Center of
Isaac
Excellence.
sends you.
Yeah. Attach that there. You can give a little summary of it. Advisory committee recommendations.
The meeting minutes.
Yes, the meeting minutes for any CTE program. If you are changing anything, you need to show that it was addressed at an advisory meeting. It was a topic of discussion, and what you're doing is what was decided. Yeah, and then there's a regional consortium that Isaac attends and will send new programs to for approval, and minutes there showing that it was approved. You'll give the total units here in this box, so that was 11. And then top code, I think it's typically whatever the courses in the program are usually.
Usually.
If you have any questions about top codes, let us know. SIP codes are depending on your top code, and there's a crosswalk. Contact me, I'll help you figure it out. And then SOC codes are for CTE only. And there's, I think it's called ONET at the state that you use. I can't remember the acronym. I'm sorry. Maybe it's right here. Yep. Okay. I'll add it. New program details, projected annual completers, faculty workload. For example, we are working on a logistics program, so that's gonna be, maybe one full-time faculty member. Maybe it's gonna be made up of a couple of part-time or adjuncts. So you can put that information here as well. If you need a facility and you want to wish and dream, put it there. I'm just kidding. Okay, you'll save or you'll start workflow. Something that happens very often because CourseLeaf is tied to the portal. If you time out of the portal, it will not let you save. It's not going to get rid of it, but if you try to save, there will be a little button and it'll say, I think it'll be a warning. It'll tell you can't, and you'll freak out and you'll email me, and that's fine. But there is an easy way to do it. You would just log back into the portal in another window, open that edit window again, and press save again, and it'll work.
And the thing is that this was what you would do for new courses. If you're changing courses, or if you're changing or updating your program, it's a lot easier. So you just sort of look at what is already there and make any adjustments. And if you don't need any, so you would say, this is our 5-year review, right? And then you would also, it's helpful for us, right, exactly. And then it's helpful for us to, if in there you put a little note that says anything you might have changed. And don't forget to do the catalog and start date.
Yes. Yes, so that would be, again, the next fall in the catalog edition. Yeah, so some of these fields are new, like catalog edition is new. I think we changed the start term.
Yeah.
So, or like the guided pathways question, it'll be blank because you haven't filled it out before and it's new. Most everything though, we just kind of moved around.
Yeah, and you won't need to necessarily add a new program narrative. The old one is there somewhere. Yes.
Yeah. It would be here, potentially, in theory.
I know it's on.
This is a bad example because we haven't updated it.
Oh, that
with
one's really
Kim.
old. Go
Let
to.
me get rid of this one.
Go to.
You want to clean off?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do the AF. So one of the good examples is the pre-health profession. Not good examples. They're all good, but you know, we like Shannon, so we picked on her. Yes, if I were to revise this program, again, all that information, the banner code, all that stuff is there. This was the justification the last time she revised it. You know, the college mission changed, so she needed to update that. Again, start term, date, add the science. See, I can guess. Yes, so the old attachments will be there. So what, I'll do that in a second. Evidence of need is a new field. Technically, the idea was that you would show the evidence of need throughout the narrative, but what we did with the form was gave you an opportunity to make it very explicit and a designated spot for it. So that will be empty as of now. So if you are revising your program, that will be a new thing that you'll have to do. You're going to edit your outcomes. You can do that. Catalog description. See, one nice paragraph. No bullets, no numbering, no nothing. And then these are all the courses. And so this is an example of like a choose one of the following kind of statements. And you can see we have list A, that's a comment. And then we typically put like the total. So if it's list A and you need to complete all of them, then that total of list A would be there. Choose one of the following. It's 3 to 4 because these courses will either be 3 to 4 units. And then the units for associate degrees and ADPs get really complicated. And I can help with that. Shannon Davis will help with the double counting and all of that information. Yeah. And this is an example of a very full plan of study. And then you'll, choose one from American institutions, and that gets into the GE stuff. But so if you go to look at this program, what Shannon knew we had to complete with the master planning and all of that no longer is on this form because she doesn't have to revise it. But if you do want an example of that, you can look at the files under program narrative attachment, and you can see that. So I'll just show an example of what it used to look like. And then I'll show what it,
Oh, you gotta go to see the little blue down arrow up there. So yeah, click on that.
Okay, thank you. How am I doing on time? 15 minutes, okay. So this was the Word document that we used to have people do, and then I would take from it and put it into the Kim form. So they had to do this table by hand. And what is nice about Kim is that you can't add a course that doesn't exist. If you make a typo or anything like that, sometimes we don't catch it. And then what we need to do is update not just the Word document, but the PDF and all the other things. And also if the curriculum committee comes back and says, hey, maybe change this course objective, what we would do is, again, update the Word document, update the PDF. I would update the Kim form. So the new process will be a little bit more streamlined. And what the new PDF will look like. So I will, I think it's download to PDF. I should know that. I'm pretty sure. Yes, so this is what our new program narratives are going to look like. Yep, and so that's what I will submit to the state. Okay, I think that's everything. Do we have any questions? That I didn't, oh, let me go back to the PowerPoint. So at Shannon Newby's request, I put a little checklist. I kept it as brief as I could. So I basically just covered the big headers in the form. So program information, you need to fill that out. Program details, you have to fill that out. And the narrative, and then I went over, oh, sorry, let me actually present.
Yeah,
There we go. So that just kind of labels all the little things, especially when you get to program requirements. You have to add the table, you have to add the course, you got to add headers, and you got to do the units. So maybe we'll put that in some sort of, but again, the requirements change slightly depending on the program you're working on. So there's an asterisk, and then the codes. So there is a YouTube channel, which I laugh at because I find it incredibly boring because it is my voice constantly. So I will add this training to that list, but there are a lot of resources if there's anything with Kim and it's, you know, wee hours of the night or the weekend and I'm not working, you can always look there. We do have a Canvas shell that you can enroll in. There's a link when I share the PowerPoint, you can enroll in that. I did add to under the Kim programs module, there's a couple of files and I'll explain why they're old, but it goes over every field and kind of explains what we expect to see in those fields. So the disclaimer is that these resources don't have the updated information. So I did a lot of work when we first went to Kim in creating those videos. And now we just updated all the forms, so I was gonna do them again. However, CourseLeaf is planning to update their software. They're gonna call it CourseLeaf 10. I say update their software. It's not gonna be a big change as far as the functionality of it, but it'll look different. It'll look very modern from this decade, in my opinion. And so I am very excited about it, but I'm not going to do a bunch of videos before then because I'll have to redo all the videos. But you are always welcome to set up a time to meet with me and I can walk you through anything. And the Canvas shell also has like Word documents and different resources like that. Your curriculum team, so I'm the specialist, Shannon Newby and Kat Yang are the curriculum co-chairs, and Shannon Davis is our articulation officer, who, again, if you're working on an ADT, you will work very closely with her. Okay, questions, thoughts, conundrums. I'm very surprised there have not been more questions. Let me say that.
Well, Kat's been covering some of them.
Okay, good. Thank you, Kat.
Chat, so
No, looks good.
All right, well, that was easy.
And, well, he'd let you all go 10 minutes early.
Yeah,
You're free.
sounds good.
Enjoy the rest of your flex day.
Enjoy the rest of your flex day. I'll work on getting the recording up, but I have to fix all the captions. Although there was a lot less discussion this time than at the last one, so maybe that won't take me that long. And I will share it with all faculty at that point.